Yo guys, how's it going? And welcome back to another video. And today we've got the race reaction for the 2022 Miami Grand Prix, the first ever one in Miami. And I've got to say, it wasn't too bad. I actually really enjoyed the circuit. I know there was a little bit of mixed opinions on social media and stuff, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it had a good mix of slow and fast corners, but with a few tweaks, I think it could be a really interesting circuit. But the race itself had some interesting points. Again, it got a little bit stale in the middle, and then obviously we had the safety car, and that literally took the race up to 100%. So we'll get into it all right now for you. So let's get into the race reaction. So we'll kick it all off at the front then, and Red Bull and Max Verstappen took the win once again after he messed up in qualifying, got a really good start, got ahead of Sainz, and then on lap 9 overtook Charles Leclerc just on pure pace, because that Red Bull is so good during the Grand Prix. And yeah, it was pretty much a dominant performance. And then obviously Charles Leclerc did come back at Max towards the end of the race after the safety car, which obviously bunched all the field together. But none of the top three pitted, which I thought was quite interesting. But yeah, he managed to hold on to the victory, and yeah, just another dominant performance from Max Verstappen, taking the fastest lap as well. And he had a very up and down weekend as well, obviously with issues in practice, and then made a mistake in qualifying, which put him third on the grid. But just to keep that mentality and just have the confidence to just attack like that. I mean, that's what Max Verstappen's known for, really. But a really good job from Max Verstappen. Sergio Perez had an average weekend. You know, this is what Red Bull wanted to do. They wanted to be there or thereabouts. Had a little bit of a fight with Carlos Sainz, but unfortunately wasn't able to make it happen. And he did have a slight issue, a power issue, middle of the way through the race as well. But they managed to sort it on the pit wall, and he was able to continue. But yeah, apart from that, a bit of a lonely race for Sergio Perez, but a great day for Red Bull nonetheless. Ferrari, once again, I think will be disappointed because, you know, obviously they locked out the front row on Saturday. And yeah, unfortunately, the Ferraris just don't seem to have the pace like the Red Bulls do in the race. Well, compared to Max Verstappen at least. You know, obviously they both managed to keep Perez behind, but the straight line speed of the Red Bull was just too much. But Charles Leclerc got pole, Sainz behind him in second. Sainz, obviously, like I said, fell behind Verstappen at the start, and then was pretty much under pressure from Perez pretty much the whole race. But fortunately for him, he was able to hold on. And Charles Leclerc, yeah, like I said, got a really good start, led, and then obviously Max just closed in, and there was nothing that Charles Leclerc could do. Safety car came out, and like I said, after the restart, I thought Leclerc was going to get him, but even if he stayed ahead, I think he would have probably been overtaken again from Max Verstappen, because the Red Bull is just too quick down the straights, even without DRS. So yeah, but nevertheless, a really good hold of points for Ferrari, but they've got to sort something out during the race, I think, because in qualifying and practice they're solid, but just they're missing that straight line speed. And I think if they had that straight line speed, we could see a hell of a fight at the front. So, a bit of an interesting weekend for Mercedes. They looked really good in practice, and then come qualifying, they were just back to the bog standard Mercedes again. Obviously, Hamilton made it through to Q3, George Russell out in Q2, qualified 12th, and then got a really bad start. But, I mean, fair play to the guy. You know, he started on the hards, stayed out, and he even came over with the team radio and said, let's just stay out just in case we get a virtual safety car or a safety car. And that's exactly what happened. So it was a very beneficial move from George Russell. So really good call there. And Lewis, yeah, just had a fairly better weekend than Imola. I don't think anything could be as bad as Imola. But yeah, still got outraced by George Russell. And it was mainly for the strategy call that he didn't make. He didn't come into the pits, didn't change tyres, and that pretty much meant that he was going to fall behind George Russell, because he even came over the team radio and said, well, I'm going to fall behind George, and Bono was like, yeah, you are. So yeah, a bit weird from Lewis, and I don't really know why he didn't pit, to be honest, but nonetheless, finished in P6 behind George Russell. So yeah, a decent points again for Mercedes, and they definitely have made progress, I think, this weekend, but it's still nowhere near what they want. Next up is Alfa Romeo, and Valtteri Bottas is absolutely loving it at Alfa Romeo. Obviously qualified P5. He just looks so comfortable in that Alfa Romeo, it has to be said. But yeah, a great job from Bottas. Unfortunately, he did make a mistake after the safety car restart, gone up on the marbles. The marbles this weekend were crazy. Like, as soon as the drivers went offline, we saw it in practice, qualifying and the race. Just as soon as you get on the marbles, you're gone for. And unfortunately, that happened to Bottas on the exit of the penultimate corner, I think it was. Just got up on the marbles, then let both Mercedes through. He just went so wide, nearly hit the wall. He just understood so much. It was crazy, but nonetheless, a great weekend from Bottas. Still finished in 7th, and a great haul of points for Alfa Romeo. So really, really good job from them. And Guan Yu Zhou, once again, I keep calling him Guan Yu Zhou. I need to call him Zhou Guan Yu, because that's what everyone calls him. So I do apologise. So Zhou Guan Yu had a little bit of unluckiness again. DNF'd, didn't really get to see much of him, unfortunately. So yeah, he's had a bit of an up and down start to the season, but I do rate him as a driver, and I think he will do really well. A bit like Yuki Tsunoda, you know, he took his first year, wasn't great, and now he's doing really well, Yuki. So I think it'll be the same for Zhou. So yeah, unfortunately, didn't really get to see much of him, but nonetheless, a great day for Alfa Romeo. Next up is Alpine. Now, they had a bit of an up and down weekend. Esteban Ocon crashed in, I think it was qualifying, or practice 3, where you got that little really tight chicane just before that. Obviously, there was the concrete wall, and obviously Sainz had a crash in FP1 as well, and the drivers were saying how dangerous it is. Even though it's a very slow part of the circuit, it doesn't matter. Apparently, he pulled 51G Ocon in that car, and I was very surprised that the FIA didn't do anything about it, because, you know, I don't think all the drivers, but some of the drivers made a big thing, especially Ocon and Sainz, obviously, who ended up in the wall, made a big thing of how dangerous it was to have a concrete wall there, even though it was a slow speed corner. You know, if you hit concrete, it's going to hurt no matter what speed you're doing, really, in a Formula 1 car. But 51G for that sort of speed was crazy, I thought, and I'm really surprised that the FIA didn't do anything about it. Especially after, you know, Romain Grosjean's crash and everything. I thought as soon as Sainz and Ocon said we need to put something else there, I thought they were going to do that, but I don't know, it was a bit weird. But nonetheless, Esteban Ocon finished in 8th, and Fernando Alonso did finish in the points as well, but got penalised for a few incidents during the race, so he actually finished outside of the top 10 and finished 11th, so only Esteban Ocon getting the points for Alpine. Another driver who had a great day was Alexander Albon, once again getting into the points, obviously helped out by Fernando Alonso. He still got a point with Alonso's DNF. He actually got 9th in the end, so picking up 2 points for Williams, and just what Williams need at the moment. And I saw all the memes going around, and it's Albon's red hair, which I don't know why he did. I think it was just like for Miami or something, but I don't know if he's keeping it permanently or not. But a really good job from Albon once again, just proving that, you know, he definitely deserves a seat in Formula 1, and I think a lot of people knew that anyway. But yeah, a really good job from Albon. Didn't really see much of him. I think we saw a few little battles here and there with him, but other than that, didn't really see much of him. And Latifi, again, just didn't do anything. Just trying to bring it home. I think it was a new track, obviously, for him, and I think he's still trying to build his confidence up. So yeah, moving on from Latifi. Another team back in the points was Aston Martin after, obviously, a really bad start to the season. They've got another point on the board with Lance Stroll finishing in 10th, and Vettel looked like he was on points as well. But unfortunately, got dive-bombed by Mick Schumacher after they were having a little scrap coming towards the end of the race. And unfortunately, Seb turned in. It was a bit of a racing incident, I think. We saw it between Alonso and I think another driver. I think it was Alonso and Gasly, I think it was. But yeah, it just sort of turned in. And that completely threw Vettel's car up in the air. And then that was pretty much race over for him. So he DNF'd after that. And yeah, so unfortunately only a point for Aston Martin, but it's still a point that counts in the championship. So next up is AlphaTauri then. They didn't have the best weekend. Yuki Tsunoda finishing in 12th. Yeah, he had a few battles here and there. And Pierre Gasly, again, also had a few battles. Like I said, I'm pretty sure he made contact with Alonso into turn 1. And then obviously midway through the race, which brought out the safety car, he went up onto the marbles, completely no grip. And unfortunately, came back onto the track quite weirdly. Just sort of stayed in the middle of the track, even though he was going quite slowly. I know he accelerated up again, but obviously the cars behind him were doing a lot more speed, as Lando Norris was. And unfortunately, Norris just sort of hit his front left and was out of the race, and that put Gasly out of the race as well. So yeah, a bit of a bizarre incident, but yeah, nonetheless, no points for AlphaTauri. Next up is McLaren then, and they had a weekend to forget, to be honest. Like I said, just mentioned Norris got caught up in Pierre Gasly's incident, but before that, he didn't really seem like he had a lot of pace. Neither did Ricciardo, and then I think Norris had a really bad stop, which put him more or less way out of the points, and then it was just sort of a comeback drive, and then obviously, like I said, the collision with Gasly completely took him out of the race. The whole tyre just came straight off the rim and just went flying down the track. But yeah, luckily no one was injured, and Lando walked away fine. Really calm on the radio as well. It was just like, yeah, I'm all good, don't know what happened, let's go. Let's just get out. So yeah, thankfully it was okay, but yeah, no points for McLaren, unfortunately. And Daniel Ricciardo, yeah, just again didn't really have any pace, didn't really see much from McLaren's, unfortunately. Ricciardo, I think, was in 14th in qualifying as well, so yeah, not a good day for McLaren. And finally, we'll talk about Haas then. Like I mentioned, Mick Schumacher, his best friend on the grid, he had to have collision, a massive collision with the one driver that he loves in the sport. But unfortunately, yeah, just had a bit of an audacious move. I don't think it was anything dramatic. Went down the inside. Vettel didn't really expect it, I don't know. But then they just sort of came to blows into turn one, and that completely put Mick out of the race. He thought it was his corner. Vettel didn't think there was a gap, and then yeah, unfortunately they just came to blows, which put them both out of the race. Well, I think Mick Schumacher still finished, but didn't actually end up getting any points anyway, because obviously he had to pit and everything. And then Kevin Magnussen as well. Both Hasses were running quite well to the points, and then he had to DNF as well for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why, but I think it was a reliability issue, unfortunately, which put them both out of the race. And yeah, no points for Haas, unfortunately, but I can feel it for Mick Schumacher. He had a really good weekend, and you know, he's getting more and more experience, so I think that first point is definitely coming for him. So there we go, guys. That is the end of my race reaction for the Miami Grand Prix. Like I said, I don't think it was an absolute thriller. It definitely got, after that safety car, it definitely got more interesting. And there was just battles going on everywhere. But the TV direction as well, please sort it out. Stop cutting to crowds, because we don't care about the audience reactions. But we do. But we don't like it when, you know, there's action going out on track, you know. It's only live once, and I don't want to see flipping fans cheering up and down when there's an overtake being made. I know I can forgive them a little bit at the end because there was lots going on, but please just sort it out for the next race, because it's starting to get on my nerves a little bit. And I think it was starting to get on Matt's nerves as well at WTF1, because obviously I watched them and he was mentioning it as well. And yeah, he's so right. Just stop cutting to the crowd in the most important parts, because it's so irritating. And at one point they even looked up to the sky, and it's like, well, that's not a good sign if, you know, if the cameraman's going up to the sky. But nevertheless, let me know all your comments in the comment section below. What do you think of the race? What do you think of the Miami track as well? Like I said, I think it's a good circuit. With a few tweaks, I think it could be a really, really good race. So I think they just need to get rid of that chicane and maybe change the middle sector a little bit with those, like, with that Sochi-like corner. And like I said, the chicane, remove that, make that just one flowing corner onto the straight, and I think that would be a lot better. But nevertheless, guys, if you have enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you are new as well, and I will see you all again in the next one, guys. Take care.